Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam. Welcome back to our discussion on the 9th Thirumurai and the 7th Thirupathikam. All along, as in when you talk about the entire Thirumurai, all the way from the 1st Thirumurai until the 9th Thirumurai and the 6th Thirupathikam until then, we were only discussing about Lord Shiva. None other than Lord Shiva will be mentioned there. Of course, we will talk about the other devas, but the predominant one will only be Lord Shiva, none other than Shiva. Whereas when you talk about this particular Padikam, which is to the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi, written by Sendhanar, this is the first place where we are going to talk about another deity other than Lord Shiva, which is none other than Lord Muruga. Lord Muruga is considered to be the son of Lord Shiva and Parvati. Basically, he was not born, but he was created. There was a specific reason why he was created, which we will be discussing in this entire Thirupathikam also. But one information that we need to remember is he is the son of Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi. And at the same time, this particular Padikam is written to a place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi. This is almost in the southern side of India, South India, and it is near to the seashore. Not only that, this Padikam, always the entire Padikam is sung as if a girl is falling in love with Lord Muruga, and it is talking about her from her stance and the turmoil that she is going through because of the love feeling on Lord Muruga. That is what we are going to talk about. Let's start with the very first verse right away. Maalula manam tanden kaiyil sangam vauvinan malai magal madalai melulam devar kulamuludalum kumaraval vallidan manalan selulam Kazhi Thiruvidaikkazhiyil Thirukuraniyal kil ninra Velulam tadakkai Vendan yen Seendan ennum yen melliyalivale. Tiruchitrambalam. The first place to get introduced to Lord Muruga is basically this place. So when we have to introduce someone, usually what is the etiquette we follow? We will usually talk about their parents or their spouse and what is their speciality. That's exactly being followed in this particular verse. Who is Lord Shiva? He is the son of Parvati Devi. Not only that, his spouse, his consort is Valli, and he is the one who stays in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi. There is a beautiful tree which is called as Kura Maram, Kura tree, and he is holding on to a holy spear in his hands. Can you imagine? To talk about his valor, he is holding on to a spear, and he is the son of Parvati Devi and his wife is Valli, and he is in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi. He is so beautiful, and the reddish color that he is in, it is radiating throughout that this girl has fallen in love with Lord Muruga, and because of the love she became so anemic because she is missing him so much, and because of that she has already started losing weight, and since she is losing weight, all her jewelries, especially her bangles and all these, are just drifting away from her arms. This is the situation that a girl is going through, whoever has fallen in love with Lord Muruga. That is what the first verse is all about. In other words, the first verse is introducing us to a very important form of Lord Shiva, which is called as Somaskandar form. Somaskandar is basically, we have Lord Shiva, we have Uma Deviyar, and in between we have Lord Muruga as a small little baby. So, in other words, this particular Padikam comes exactly in the center to talk about saying that it is Somaskandar, a form of Lord Shiva, one of the forms out of the 25 Maheshwara forms, right? So, that's all the first verse is all about. Second verse, the verse goes this way. இவளை வாரிளமென் கொங்கை பீர் பொங்க எழில் கவர்ந்தான் இளம் காளை கவளமா கரிமேல் காவரி சொல் கோடை கீழ் கனக குன்றென வரும் கள்வன் தீவள மாளிகை சூழ் திரு இடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறா நீழல் கீழ் நின்ற குவளை மாமலர்கண் நங்கையாள் நாயக்கும் குழகன் நல்லழகன் நம் கோவே. Thiruchitrambalam. Again, it's a very lovely verse. As usual, we have already spoken about the very first verse, which is basically to introduce us to Lord Muruga. Second verse is also resonating almost the same information. This is also written as a girl who has fallen in love with Lord Muruga, and her mum is talking about the stage that she is in and the suffering that she is going through. If you look at this verse, they are explaining how Lord Muruga looks, and at the same time what kind of a valor he has. Lord Muruga, when you look at him, he's so beautiful, charming, handsome, mesmerizing, and he is young. He is young, but he looks like a bull which is full of strength. He is also riding a beautiful elephant where people are surrounding the elephant while he is coming around the entire place. He is also having two consorts, two wives, Devane and Valli Pratiyar. They both are his wives, and we all know Lord Muruga has got two wives. Basically, it is not literally like a wife like what we are talking about today. Rather, it must be represented as Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti and Yoga Shakti. That is how we usually talk about. So, when you talk about his spear in his hand, that is called as Jnana Shakti. Kriya and Icha Shakti are basically the two consorts that we are talking about over here. So, he is also residing in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi, and he is beautifully standing under the magnificent tree which is called as Kura. This Kura tree is supposed to be grown only in mountainous regions, but here it's so astounding to see this particular tree growing up in this temple. Even today you can witness this. If you go to Thiruvidaikkazhi temple, you will be able to see this tree. What is so beautiful about this place is very simple. Usually this tree is grown only in mountainous areas or the terrains basically, but here this is a seabed. This particular temple is in the seashore, near to the sea kind of a place. There is no hills around there, but this tree grows beautifully in this place. So, that is something that is defying the nature. Very beautiful place, very beautiful temple. Even today we can witness this. Lord Muruga stands there as a beautiful, magnanimous person over there, and his name is Muruga. That is what the second verse is all about. Sivaya Nama Thiruchitrambalam. Third verse, the verse goes this way. Kovinai pavala kuramana kola kurangal sul கோழிவல் கோடியோன் காவல் நல் சேனை என்ன காப்பவன் என் பொன்னை மேகலை கவர்வானே தேவி நற்றலைவன் திரு இடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறா நீழல் கீழ் நின்ற தூவினல் பீலி மாமயிலூரும் சுப்பிரமணியன் தானே. Thiruchitrambalam. This particular verse again talks about a very beautiful concept here. Lord Muruga, who is having a beautiful peacock as his, we all know basically whenever we see Lord Muruga, we usually see him with his beautiful so-called vehicle, which is the peacock. he travels around the world in this peacock. Now, Lord Muruga has this peacock. Not only that, he's so beautiful, and he's basically something like the Duke, because he is the one taking care of the entire Devas, and he has a beautiful army to take care of the Devas, and the army is also made up of Devas, and he is there to protect all of us. Imagine, if you talk about a savior, if you talk about someone who is in the protecting stage, obviously he has to protect all of us, right? And this particular verse comes in as the words from a mom who is seeing her daughter suffer because she has fallen in love with Lord Muruga. So she says, the mom says, Lord Muruga, the so-called valor, the so-called savior, the so-called person who is going to embrace this entire world and protect this world, how is that he is not able to protect my daughter? Because my daughter has started thinking about Lord Muruga and totally surrendered herself in such a way that she has lost sleep, she has lost her appetite, and she is not able to eat or drink anything. Because of that, she has started losing weight. Since she has started losing weight, her dresses as well as the jewelry is all falling off because it is not tight enough, or she has lost a lot of weight. And because of that, all these jewelries are just getting away from her body. How come Lord Muruga is not able to save her and we yet call him as the savior of this world? That's the way how this particular verse has been written. And Lord Muruga, who's called as Subramaniam, he is residing in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi, and he's standing beautifully under the tree called as Kura tree. So that concludes the third verse. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam. Fourth verse. The verse goes this way. Tiruchitrambalam. Tanamar porudu தானவர் சேனை மாடிய சூர்மார்பினை தாடிந்தோன் மானமர் தடக்கை வள்ளல் தன் பிள்ளை மாறை நிறை சட்டரம் வளர தேனமர் பொழில் சூழ் திருவிடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறா நீழல் கீழ் நின்ற கோனமர் கூத்தன் குல இளங்களிரன் கோடிக்கிடற் பயப்பதும் குணமே. Tiruchitrambalam. Awesome, perfect verse for our thought process today. Again, it resonates the same combination like what we saw earlier. It's about Lord Muruga and a girl who fell in love with Lord Muruga. She's going through a turmoil, and her mom is expressing what kind of a situation her daughter is in this particular verse. So here Lord Muruga is defined as, or is elaborated as, a person who has all the strength in the world to destroy the demon called as Surapadman. Even today, the moment we think about Lord Muruga, we will surely come to know about the Surapadman, the killing of the Surapadman history, because that is one of the most important, when we talk about Lord Muruga, it's one of the most important events that we will always have to remember. Sura Samharam is considered to be a major festival even today. After Deepavali, 6 days we will go on a fasting, and after that there will be this particular event which is considered to be a mega event. And especially if you go to Tiruchendur, you will be able to see the magnificent situation over there, which is the sky will be totally red in color at that point in time, and that happens immaterial of which year we are in. It happens almost every year. And not only that, even if you today travel to Tiruchendur, you will be able to see the entire sand in red in color, which when you ask someone, they will say, oh, it's all because of Surapadman's blood which was shed over there. Even today you will be able to witness this particular soil in that area. Now, when you talk about Muruga, we will always have to remember this Surapadman. and Surapatman is nothing but our Anavam Kanvam, the entanglements that we have. Lord Shiva created Lord Muruga to help the soul, the living beings, the souls, to get rid of this entanglement. These entanglements are depicted in a metaphor which is called as Surapatman. And he is able to, Lord Muruga is able to kill that demon, as in get rid of those entanglements. Lovely. He is also the son of, as we saw earlier, son of Lord Shiva, and he is the one who takes care of the entire Vedas also. And that kind of Lord Muruga stays in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi, which is there is a beautiful tree called as Kura tree, and he is standing there. And this person, Lord Muruga, this almighty, this omnipotent, omnipresent being, has already stolen my daughter's heart, and he is not able to save her. He is able to save this entire universe from the entanglements, but how is it possible that he is not able to save my daughter is the curious question the mom is raising. The inner meaning of this verse is very simple. When we are able to surrender ourselves 100% to Lord Shiva, rather here Lord Muruga, when we are able to surrender ourselves, it is the omnipotent, omnipresence duty to break through this vicious cycle for us and get rid of our entanglements and move us to the next level, which is the salvation. That is what this entire verse is all about. Fourth verse specifically talks about it. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam. And the fifth verse, the verse goes this way, Tiruchitrambalam. Gunamani kurulai kovai vai madandai padum midar kuri koladalago manamani marayor vanavar vaiyam uyyamatradiyanin vaழ திணமணி மாட திருஇடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறநீழல் கீழ் நின்ற கணமணி பொருநீர் கங்கைதன் சேருவன் கணபதி பின்னிளங்கிழையே. Tiruchitrambalam. Today's verse is actually introducing Lord Muruga to us. In the earlier verses, we have already seen that Lord Muruga is the son of Lord Shiva and son of Uma Devi are also, as in Parvati Devi also. Today we are going to talk about his elder brother, who is none other than Vinayagar, as in Ganapati. When you talk about the entire family, they are, because as of today we do have a lot of confusion, because certain people worship only Shiva and they call that they are the Saivites, and certain people worship only Shakti and they call it as Saktam. And when you talk about worshipping only Ganapati and they call it as Ganapatyam, worshipping only Lord Muruga and calling it as Gaumaram. In fact, they are all the same family. So there is nothing to be worried about or which path to choose or whatever. This is a little confusion. Imagine today's ritual in our today's world. If I imagine that I have a function in my house and I need to invite someone, what would I do is, I will bring an invitation letter, go to the other place, write only the head of the family's name, as in the guy who is the head of the family, his name will be written and I'll be inviting him. Well, I'm inviting him, that is more than sufficient to say that I'm inviting the entire family, because the head of the family represents the entire family. And right now, when we talk about a couple of families, we are still in a joint family format. When we are in a joint family, the son is, once we invite the man of the house, it's implied that every other family is also invited because they are also in the same house. Usually, we don't give multiple invitations. This is practiced even today in our life. Imagine, when we go to a temple, whom should we worship first? Ganapati or Muruga or as in Shakti or Shiva or who? This is a big confusion as of today we all have. Very simple. Who is the ultimate deity over here? The head of the family, Lord Shiva. As long as you go and pray to Lord Shiva, everyone else will be automatically included. This should be the understanding while we are worshipping in a temple, right? Now what we are actually trying to do is focus in terms of this particular padigam. The entire padigam is written in the format of a girl falling in love with Lord Muruga, and her mother is actually complaining about why Lord Shiva is not, rather Lord Muruga is not showing his grace on the girl. It's considered that Lord Muruga is the savior of this world. He is even ready to pardon all the mistakes that devas and the human beings are doing, performing on a daily basis. He is having so much of a mercy towards them that he is able to pardon them, forgive them, and forget all their misdeeds and bring them to the next level. But why is he so merciless towards my daughter alone? Is the question that the mum is asking as part of the verse number 5. Sivaya Nama Thiruchitrambalam. And the 6th verse, the verse goes this way. கிளையிளம் சேய கிரிதனை கீண்ட ஆண்ட கை கேடில் மேல் செல்வன் வளையிளம் புரை செஞ்சடையரன் மதலை கார்நிறமால் திருமருகன் திளையிளம் பொழில் சூழ் திருவிடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறானிழல் கீழ் நின்ற முளையிளம் களிரின் மொய்குழல் சீருமிக்கு அருளும் கொல்முருகவள் பரிந்தே. Thiruchitrambalam. Lovely verse. It actually resonates the earlier 5 verses that we have been discussing about. In this, Lord Muruga is being introduced to us as the person who lives in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi and who is standing beneath the tree called as Kura. His father is Lord Shiva, and he is also having an uncle who is nothing but our Lord Vishnu. So he's being introduced as the entire family has been introduced to us now. We know who's Lord Muruga's mum, dad, brother, elder brother, as well as his uncle. And also we spoke about he has he is actually a terror when it comes to a battlefield. He is even having the valor to break down a huge mountain, a massive mountain. That kind of a person he is, as in he's literally a daredevil when it comes to the battlefield. But at the same time, my daughter has fallen in love with him, and will he have the slightest of the soft corner or a soft corner in his heart for my daughter, and will he be able to save my daughter from this problem that she is going through, which is nothing other than love? And that is what our verse number 6 is all about. The inner meaning of this is very simple. All these verses will talk about, it's all like, you know, one person falling in love with the hero, the heroine, as in the lady falls in love with a hero, but there's no reciprocation from the other side. The reason is, once we start to realize that there is reciprocation, it is already salvation, a state of self-realization, which means we would have achieved Lord Shiva's feat already. So there is no way we can even talk about it or sing about it, and that's why in none of the Thirumurais we will be seeing that, you know, the love has been accepted, but it will always be something like one person has fallen in love with Lord Shiva or Lord Muruga in this case, and what is happening to them is actually a questionable area for us rather than getting an answer, decisive answer over here. So the verse number 6 also concludes in the same manner. Sivaya Nama Thiruchitrambalam. And we are continuing with the 7th verse. The verse goes this way. Parinda senjudaru parudiyo minno pavalathin kulaviyo pasumbon sorinda sinduramo தூமணி திரளோ சுந்தர தரசிது என்ன தெரிந்த வைதிகர் வாழ் திருவிடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறானிழல் கீழ் நின்ற வரிந்த வெஞ்சிலைக்கை மைந்தனை அஞ்சொல் மையல் கொண்டை உறும்பாகையே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். This verse also resonates with the earlier verses that we have already seen, which is a girl who has fallen in love with Lord Muruga, and she's going through a bit of a turmoil due to love, and the biggest problem that she's facing is being spoken out by her mum in this particular verse, or in the form of this particular verse. We have to imagine the girl who has fallen in love with Lord Muruga is basically us, we are the ones, and the person who behaves like the mum is basically our guru. So our guru who has given us initiation in this path, we call it as the Diksha Guru. He is the one who's going and talking to the Almighty, saying that this is the state of my daughter, can you please show your mercy on her. In this verse, the verse starts this way. Looking at Lord Muruga, the mum is saying, is this really a person, or is it a ball of fire, or is this sun who has just directly gone onto earth, or is he a group? When you talk about the stone called as the precious stone called as ruby, if you have a mountain of rubies, how will it shine? Or is it like a mountain of rubies, or is it something like a lightning? Imagine lightning or sun or fire. The approach is it will burn down anything that goes near to it, which means once we surrender ourselves to the fire, to as in the form of fire which is Lord Muruga, or the lightning which is also Lord Muruga, or sun which is also Lord Muruga, once we surrender to him, all our karmic deeds or the karmic effects will be burnt down to ashes. He is the one who lives in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi, in under the tree called as Kura tree, and the place is filled with people who are chanting Vedas regularly and in a very meticulous manner, in a very pious manner, and that is the place which is called as Thiruvidaikkazhi. In that, Lord Muruga is standing there with holding on to a bow and arrow in his hands. You can take it in two ways. One is he is holding the bow and arrow, or he is the son of someone who is holding the bow and arrow. We all know Lord Shiva was holding the bow and arrow when it comes to the Tripura Samharas. So that is also one of the approach that we can possibly look at when it comes to this particular verse. And the mum is saying, why don't Lord Muruga bestow his grace on my daughter? Even though he is able to see that my daughter is going through so much of a trouble, why can't he come down and bestow his blessings on her? That is what verse number 7 is all about. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam, the 8th verse. The verse goes this way. வகை மிகும் அசுர மாள வந்துழிஞை வானமர் வளைத்த தாளாளன் புகை மிகும் மணலில் புறம் பொடி படுத்த பொன்மலைவில் இதன் புதல்வன் திகை மிகு கீர்த்தி திருவிடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறா நீழல் கீழ் நின்ற தொகை மிகு நாமத்து அவன் திருவடிக்கென் துடியடை மடல் தொடங்கினளே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். This particular verse, of course it's resonating the earlier verses also, but one important information that has been spoken about here is there is a tradition called as madal. In Sangam literatures, you will be able to see this particular reference. It is called as madal yerudal, which means when a person is falling in love with a girl and he wants to let everyone know about his love and his feelings towards her. Usually when it comes to confession of love, they will start with this particular concept of madal yerudal, which is he will make a horse or a particular like a vehicle with the palm trees barks. we know how sharp it can be, right? And then he will ride on it, as in he will sit on it, and there will be his friend or someone who will be dragging this particular horse, which means his end of the day his thighs will all be like torn apart, and it can even become a very big it can be lethal at any point in time, because the severity is going to be quite high. That is what they call it as madal erudal. And usually when you look at the references, the guy who has fallen in love, when he is ready to confess his love, and when he is sending a note that he is going to perform this particular ritual, usually the girl will also fall in love, because she knows that he's even ready to sacrifice his life for her. So usually the love will start from there. But we don't have a reference for a girl doing this. Nowhere in Sangam literature we are able to see that. But in this particular verse, they are going against the norms to say the girl who has fallen in love with Lord Muruga is now ready to start with this particular ritual called as Madal Erudal. Madal literally translates as letter, but we are not talking about that. But it is about to communicate the love, the feelings that one person has on the other person. When you look at this, he says, Lord Muruga is the son of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the one who burnt down the 3 fortress, which is basically flying fortress, into ashes. He managed to do that with the help of Meru mountain. He was able to just bend this Meru mountain and make it as an bow. With that, having other arrows and all these, we have already seen that, right? So with the help of arrows, he was able to burn down the 3 flying fortress. That Lord Shiva has given birth to our Lord Muruga. So Lord Muruga is the biological father of Lord Shiva. If you look at it, actually there is nothing like a biological father or something here. The reason is Lord Shiva created Lord Muruga with his the fire that he has on his forehead, as in the third eye. So Lord Muruga was born based on fire, not like the one that we are able to see as of today. When we are talking about giving birth to a baby, that is not the one that we are talking about right now. So Lord Muruga is the son of Lord Shiva, who was created with the fire from his third eye. And that kind of Lord Muruga, that Lord Muruga is standing in under the tree called as Kura, and he is in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi. My daughter has fallen in love with this person, the Almighty, and because of that she is ready to start with this ritual called as Madal Erudal. That's what the 8th verse is all about. The implied meaning here is, as a soul, when we have fallen in love with the Almighty, all we have to do is get rid of everything. Even the attachment that we have towards this body has to go away, because we all know the hardest part is to let go the attachment with this body. We have to let go of that in order for Lord Shiva, or rather the Almighty, to embrace us. That is what verse number 8 is all about. Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam, 9th verse. The verse goes this way. தொடங்கி நல்மடல் என்றாணி முடி தொங்கல் புரையிதழாகிலும் அருளான் இடங்கோள கூரத்தி தீரத்திலும் இறைவன் மரத்தொழில் வார்த்தையும் உடையன் தீடங்கொள் வைதிகர்வாள் திருவிடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறானிழல் கீழ் நின்ற மடங்கலை மலரும் பன்னிரு நயனத்து ஆறுமுகத்தமுதினை மருண்டே. Tiruchitrambalam. As usual, lovely verse, because as we already said, this particular verse also resonates the earlier 8 verses, as in a girl is falling in love with the 6-faced Muruga, Lord Muruga, and the trouble that she is going through is being spoken about by her mum. And the verse, in this verse, she also says, Lord Muruga knows that my daughter has fell in love with him, but he is not ready to give the flower. The flower is basically to be more reciprocative. So when someone is offering their love, in return they will usually give the flower to say that yes, I accept your love. But Lord Muruga has not given, forget about an entire flower, but not even the petals of the flower. The petals, the outside petals are usually contaminated, or it can be damaged by either insects or because of the climatic conditions or whatever it is. But whatever, when you talk about a flower, when we are offering a flower to the deity, we need to always offer it in the fullest. We shouldn't be plucking the leaves or the basically the petals, and we shouldn't be offering it, because the inner petals are more important, because that is the one which is considered to be more auspicious. Forget about Lord Muruga giving the entire flower, but at least he could have given the outer petals, right? That is what the mom's question is all about. And she also talks about one interesting information here. She says that my daughter has fallen in with Lord Muruga, but Muruga is not responding. He's a little bit rough to my daughter, similar to the way that he is being treated by his wife. His consorts, we know, Devayani and Valli. Valli Pratiyar is considered to be Lord Muruga's Icha Shakti. Actually, if you look at it, he doesn't have two wives or something. The wife concept is taken as it's an analogy or a metaphor for basically the Shakti. So Lord Muruga has got a veil, which is the sword in his hand, right? That is basically taken as, not the sword, basically the spear. Spear is taken as the Jnana Shakti. Kriya Shakti is Devane, and Icha Shakti is Valli. If you look at it, Lord Muruga has this Icha Shakti with him, and the Icha Shakti is getting angry or showing her frustration on Lord Muruga. Now, if you understand this, try to understand this in a little bit more detailed manner, we will know it is not the Icha Shakti that is outside, but actually it is within us. Imagine, what are we doing right now? We all know the Almighty is the real thing that we have to achieve. But are we really traversing in that path? Or rather, imagine just a split, probably nanoseconds, just a nanosecond, we are thinking about the Almighty. After that, half an hour to 1 hour, we are just drifting away, getting immersed in all the worldly affairs, and then again we are trying our best to come back. But whenever we try, we fail. We are always lingering around all these worldly affairs, but we are not able to immerse ourselves in the blissful state of, immersing ourselves in the Almighty's thoughts. This exactly, that's the reason why Icha Shakti is getting angry on us. And if you look at it, yes, obviously, because the moment you talk about Icha Shakti, it is the admiration. It is the something that we get enticed with. What should be the real thing that we are enticed with is the Almighty. But in fact, what are we doing right now is getting attracted to everything else other than the Almighty. That is what verse number 9 talks about. He says, or rather the mom says, Lord Muruga is showing his anger on my daughter worse than how he is being treated. So he is being treated with something, and he's showing the anger in multifold to my daughter. And her mom is actually complaining, saying that, can you please show mercy on my daughter? Can you please give at least the outer petals to my daughter and say that yes, you accept her love. That is what verse number 9 is all about. Sivaya Nama Thiruchitrambalam, the 10th verse. The verse goes this way. மருண்டுரை கோயில் மல்கு நன்குன்றம் பொழில் வளர் மகிழ் திருப்பிடவூர் வேருண்டமான் விழியார்க்கு அருள் செய்ய விடுமோ விடலையேயவர் அன்பர் தேருண்ட வைதிகர் வாழ் திருவிடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறானிழல் கீழ் நின்ற கூருண்ட பூங்குஞ்சி பிறை சடை மூடிமோ கண்ணுடை கோமாள கொழுந்தே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Lovely verse as usual. We can't say anything else, because if you look at it in this, it starts as if Lord Muruga is the son of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva has a very thick hair, and in his hair he has all the beautiful flowers decorating it. Not only that, he has got the moon crescent on his hair, and he is also having 3 eyes. We all know the third eye is Jnana. So Lord Shiva has all these, and Lord Muruga is the son of Lord Shiva, and Lord Muruga is permanently residing in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi. In there is a tree called as Kura tree, and Lord Muruga is permanently staying there, or he loves this place so much that he adores this place so much that he doesn't want to leave that place. In this place, there are so many girls who have fallen in love with Lord Muruga, and they all have the beautiful eyes, something like the deers. Now, if we look at it, we all know when you talk about a deer, the eyes of a deer is very mesmerizing. Whenever I look at a deer, often I have a feeling that it resembles an adrenaline rush kind of a situation, because a deer can never stay focused in one place. 1 second it will look at one place, another second it will be looking at another place. Constantly it will be observing everything around it for predators basically. So a deer is always in a constant fear, like what we are. We are not having fear, rather we get temptations, and because of that we just jump from one place to another, or one thought to another. Now, when we are able to focus ourselves on to one area, which is to the Almighty, that is the real bhakti, that is the real path of jnana. Now, if we are able to do that, it is so easy for Lord Shiva to just embrace us and give us the state of a state that is not going to be, we are not going to be born again. That is what verse number 10 is all about. So it's coming in as a question. Will he, as in will Lord Muruga not be able to shower his grace on us? The answer is he will. He will shower his grace on us, provided we are able to surrender ourselves completely to him. That is what verse number 10 is all about. Sivaya Nama, Thiruchitrambalam. Welcome back to our discussion on the 9th Thirumurai, 7th Thirupathikam, and the finale verse, which is the 11th verse. The verse goes this way, Thiruchitrambalam. கொழுந்திரழ்வாயார் தாய்மொழியாக தூமொழி அமரர் கோமகனை செழுந்திரள் சோதி செப்புரை சேந்தன் வாய்ந்த சொல்லிவை சுவாமியையே செழுந்தடம் பொழில் சூழ் திருவிடைக்கழியில் திருக்குறானிழல் கீழ் நின்ற எழுங்காதிரொளியை ஏத்துவார் கேட்பார் இடர் கெடும் மாலுலா மனமே. Thiruchitrambalam. We already said this padikam is written in a very different format, which in Tamil literature we call it as Andadi, which means one verse, however it is concluding either the verse as in the words from that the last word, or the letter that it is the earlier verse is concluding will become the starting of the second verse. So it is something like when we are making a garland, usually what we do is we just try to take one flower at a time, right? So this sequence is what the entire padikam is made out of. So if you look at it, the earlier verse, the word or the phrase or the letter that is concluding, that's the conclusion of the first verse, will become the starting of the second verse, and the second verse, however it is concluding, will be the starting of the third verse, and so on and so forth. If you look at it, the last one is important, right? When you talk about the finale verse, something like this, it is coming in as Maalula manam. If you remember, the very first verse of this padikam starts as Maalula manam, so which means it comes as a whole, like a chain, like a garland that we are tying, and it comes as a chain. This is the way how the entire this particular literature is written, and also this has a very special effect, as in, as we said earlier itself, it is written as if a girl has fallen in love with Lord Muruga, and her mum is explaining the difficulty that the girl is going through. In this, it is very simple. This particular verse is very simple. It is only to tell us, if someone is reading the earlier 10 verses, if we are able to read through this padigam, entire padigam, what is the effect, what is the benefit a soul is going to receive. So if you look at it, the 11th verse talks about, this is written as the words from a mum. That's why they say it is Thai Mori. Thai Mori means mother tongue, or the way how a mother is talking about. So it comes in, this particular padigam is written as if it is coming from a mum itself on someone who is called as Lord Muruga, who is there in the place called as Thiruvidaikkazhi, and who is standing beneath the tree called as Kura tree. He is also called as our Swami. Swami is nothing but God. He is called as our Swami. And this padigam, entire padigam is written on Lord Muruga. And if you look at it, if someone is able to read this padigam, if they are not able to sing, they can read this padigam. If they are not able to read, no worries, you can just listen to this padigam. If someone is listening to it or reading this, or if they are singing this particular padigam, they will get rid of all the karmic effects, karmic deeds, and they will be liberated from this vicious cycle of birth and death. That is what verse number 11 talks about. It comes in as we call it as Thiruvidaikkazhi, which is in management terms we call it as what is in for me. When I am reading this padigam, what is in for me is nothing but we will get rid of our karmic deeds, and we will be liberated from this birth and death vicious cycle. So that concludes our 7th Thirupadigam. I'll come back again with the next padigam very soon. Until then, Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam.